We're here with Simpson head wrestling coach Clint Manny, entering his 4th season. Coach, why don't you just talk about the outlook of the team this year?
Looking over our roster, we're a pretty young team right now, as we have been in the past few years. The one thing we do have this year is a good foundation in the room. So as far as the experience in the Iowa Conference, it is lacking, and it's no lie and it's no secret. But we do have some quality returning guys that have experience in the Iowa Conference and being varsity guys in our lineup. But we're really looking forward to getting some fresh blood in there, and our young guys that have been working hard, and just really excited to get that young group of guys involved in our lineup. But again, the foundation is definitely there with our sophomore class from last year, as well as the 2 juniors with Corey and Jeff, and really looking forward to see what we can do for this weekend at Knox.
You talk about being a young team, a lot of freshmen and sophomores, but a couple juniors of note that you mentioned, Corey Stratton and Jeff Sand. Why don't you talk about how you rely on them this year and what you think they will bring to the table?
Again, being the two few guys that have had experience in the conference tournament for more than 1 year, really looking for those guys to not only be a verbal leader in the room and push the guys and their work ethic and those types of things, but really picking those guys up when they're down. Again, wrestling the Iowa Conference, it's wrestling the best kids in the country every single week, and it can be a grind for those guys who haven't had experience of that yet. Coming out of high school with 40, 50 wins a season, and all of a sudden being going against, again, returning All-Americans, returning national champs, it gets pretty hard on some of those guys. So really looking for those guys to come in and keep the mood positive, be leaders beyond just trying to make them better wrestlers, but also making them better men and developing them into character development, all those things that we talk about on a daily basis. And so far this year they've done exactly that. It's a great attitude in the room, and we're having more fun this year than we've had in the years past, just because we've got good, solid leadership, and those guys have a good attitude every single day in the room.
How do you assimilate these freshmen, these newcomers, these young kids into being able to wrestle in the Iowa Conference? Is there any way to really simulate that in practice, or is it kind of trial by fire, just learn as you go?
Well, the one thing I'm really proud of these young guys is their confidence level. They know what they're capable of doing. They know that they've had success in the high school rooms and in their high school state tournaments. Brian Haynes, Devin Roush, a couple of our younger guys have had success in their high school careers. So coming in with a good high school career where we can actually coach them on some higher level college stuff, it really makes it easier than having to break things down on an elementary level. We're getting into some pretty advanced things already before even our first competition. Now, obviously, we're going to have to revisit those things, and sometimes the best attributes, a little bit of naive attitude, but if they're doing what we ask them to do, and don't ever question it, just hit the ground running, then that's one thing that's really advantageous to the group of guys we have, because they got a lot of confidence. They know what they're capable of doing, and frankly, I don't think they're going to let anybody slow them down or get in their way.
You mentioned a few of the young guys. Who are the young wrestlers that you think are going to jump in and make an impact right away and start wrestling in those conference duels right away?
Right now, I'm really impressed again with our lower weights. We got 2 25-pounders, which 25 has been our Achilles heel the last couple of years. Having 2 good quality guys there, in Mike Niemer and Devin Roush. Both of those guys had very successful high school careers, and they battle every single day in practice, and that's really fun to see and fun to watch. Really excited about Spencer Curry, our 133-pounder who transferred here from University of La Crosse. Kid from Lee Summit, Missouri. He is very, very tough, and has really pretty much made a name for himself in our room. I mean, nobody wants to wrestle with him in our room, because he's very quick, very, very gifted athlete, and I know he's going to do very well. Spencer will be wrestling in March, no doubt about it, if he keeps his head on straight and keeps doing what he's doing. Other than that, through our lineup, 57-pounder Brian Haynes, really expecting some great things out of him. He's a state champ from Oak Park, Missouri. Had, again, a great high school career, but now just really anxious to see what he's capable of doing. He'll wrestle a ranked wrestler next week with Cornell. So again, he's going to get his hands in the fire right away, and I know he's capable of doing some great things and should be wrestling in March as well.
Just talk about last year, 2-13 overall dual record. What can you do to improve upon that this year and start to chip away at some of the top dogs in the Iowa Conference?
I think what we've done so far is just continue to get depth. If you're forfeiting weights, and again, this is no one to blame but myself and our recruiting efforts, but we've really made an effort of recruiting depth, but getting the right type of kids in our program too. We could bring in 40 kids a year, but if they're not the right type of kids, it's not going to last. So really focusing on recruiting, but also more importantly, retention. We're really trying to focus on getting a group of guys together and keeping them together. And that's one thing we were able to do with this sophomore class, and I brought them up a couple times. They're our foundation of this team right now. Again, Corey and Jeff are our leaders, but our foundation relies on that sophomore class and then keeping this freshman class together. So again, I think with 40 guys in a roster, yeah, that's going to help you with some depth, but we got to get the right type of guys, and I feel like we've got that with these two classes. So again, I think our duels we're still going to struggle some in duels because we're lacking depth in our upper weights, but with some help with some of the football guys and some possible transfers that semester, I think we could really, really chip away at our record right now.
Had a couple weeks to practice now. What are you looking for out of the first meet coming up this Saturday at Knox?
I really just wanted to gauge and see where we're at. Again, our expectations are completely different than what they've been my first 3 years. Now we've got a couple guys with some experience, but also we want to put guys in the finals of tournaments. We don't just want to be placers anymore. We want to be winning tournaments and being in the finals. And again, our goal, I made it pretty clear yesterday in practice, we want 4 guys in the finals and we want 2 champs, no less than that for the tournament this weekend at Knox. Obviously, the duel against Cornell, as they're ranked number 5 in the country right now, that'll be a great test for us to see where we're at, but also, again, a great opportunity for us to make a name for ourselves on an individual basis, but also as a team, to let people in the country and our conference know that yeah, we're getting the ship righted, and we'll be back towards the top of the conference here, if not this year, next year with the guys we've got coming back.
Final thoughts. What should we know about Simpson Wrestling? What's the identity of this team? What's the attitude of this team?
I think really it all comes back to the wrestlers we have in the room, and they're working their tails off. They really are. And it's not because I'm down their throat barking at them. It's because they're a good group of guys, and they're willing to do whatever you tell them to do. And I think that's, as far as a coach, that's all you can ask for, is your athletes to give it their best every single day, but also outside the wrestling room, they do the right things in the classroom. They do the right things out in public. They're hopefully model citizens for the community. But really, what we're about is just hard work, and they've done everything I've asked them from that. And again, that's what we're about. That's our foundation.